So last week, I went to my best friend's birthday party. In some ways, we're complete opposites. She's a wildcat from the University of Arizona. I'm a Sun Devil at Arizona State. Yeah, out there, forks up. She's a dog person, and I love cats. And her major is electrical engineering, and I study political science. So at this party, we were doing your typical introductions. What's your name? Where are you from? What are you studying? And I soon found out that every one of her friends was an engineer as well. Every flavor that you could imagine. Biomedical engineering, chemical engineering, electrical engineering, computer science. So I dreaded the inevitable question as we made our way around the circle, what are you studying? Now, when I typically introduce myself to people as a political science major, I tend to get one of two reactions. The first is, wow, that's got to be interesting at a time like this. And the second is, good luck finding a job. So I was asked point blank by a near perfect stranger, are you smart? That's a little more blunt than what I'm used to, but the sentiment itself is common enough. The implication is that anybody with even a small degree of intelligence would pursue a degree in engineering, in medicine, in the sciences, because STEM, or science, technology, engineering, and math, is the backbone of our society today. On the flip side of that implication is the insinuation that studying the humanities or the social sciences is outdated, less important, inferior, or even a waste of our time. We tout STEM as the crowning achievement of our schools, and in the process, we sometimes overlook the classes that can be just as important, like English literature, philosophy, art history, and drama. Now, it was my best friend's birthday party after all, and I didn't want to make a scene, so I just smiled and nodded along. But I'll tell you what I wish I had said. In the honors program at my university, there's a required 2-semester sequence called the Human Event. Under its official description, this course studies landmarks in the social and intellectual development of the human race. From the seminal works of Western antiquity like Plato's Republic and the Iliad, to philosophical texts by Marx and Confucius, we see some of the greatest thinkers we've ever recognized struggle to put into words what it means to be human. Karl Marx, for example, theorized that capitalism led to the alienation of man from man and from the species being, or what we might today call our humanity. Now, whether you agree with his economic theories and their implications or not, when we read Marx's works, we enter into a dialogue with Marx and into a connection with ourselves. What makes me human? Is it my ability to think or to create? Is it my ability to connect with other individuals? And if I didn't have those things, would I lose my humanity? Now, there clearly aren't universal answers to those questions. There are no data to collect and no experiments that we could reliably run. But that doesn't mean that our gut reactions are somehow insignificant or meaningless. And it also doesn't mean that one discipline alone can provide all the answers. For example, some of the greatest minds in science and mathematics have taken a stab at this question. In trying to better understand our humanity, Alan Turing turned to an unlikely source, the computer. According to the Turing test, if a computer can fool a human evaluator into judging 30% of the time that it is a human, then it has successfully passed the imitation game and can be considered a machine that can think. In 2014, a computer software program called Eugene Goostman successfully passed the Turing test at a rate of 33%. But in the last 3 years, I don't think that our society's collective definition of human has broadened to the point where we now include specific AI programs. So essentially, we're back at the drawing board, wondering yet again, what makes a human a human? And I don't have the answer to that question, but it's a good illustration of how STEM fields and the liberal arts cannot be more important than the other, but instead must truly go hand in hand. Philosophical questions, for example, can serve as a framework for technological advancement. For example, when we think of the murky ethical questions surrounding cloning or artificial intelligence, our mind races with the many possibilities presented to us in science fiction films and literature. But we tend to forget that just 20 years ago, we cloned Dolly the sheep. Recently, the news that Facebook had shut down an AI program that had developed its own language captured the attention of media. And just a few months ago, we experienced a breakthrough with the gene editing technology CRISPR that now allows us to repair dangerous and disease-causing mutations, prompting resurging cries of designer babies and also reminders of the responsibility that we have with this newfound ability to alter the course of evolution. As Steve Jobs once said, it's in Apple's DNA that technology alone is not enough. It is technology married with the liberal arts, married with the humanities, that yields the result that makes our hearts sing. And I think his words will ring true to most of us. Have any of you ever shed a tear or two watching a movie, reading a book, or listening to music? I know I have, in my first experience with musical theater, watching The Phantom of the Opera, and not because I have any kind of personal experience being tutored by a disfigured musical genius living in an underground labyrinth, but because I also understand how it feels to be obsessed over an impossible ideal. The Bhagavad-Gita, originally an oral composition, documents Arjuna in his hesitation to fight and go to war with his family. I've never met a cousin on the battlefield with a sword, and you probably haven't either, but maybe you have experienced a moment of religious or spiritual doubt. And Shakespeare's Macbeth is the epitome of ambition, and maybe you've also considered a less than ethical approach to reaching your dreams, whether you took it or not. Although these characters' circumstances vary wildly from our own, their struggles reflect and amplify our own experiences, allowing us to watch ourselves through the lens of an audience. A 19th century French writer, standing in front of this work of art, once told us that he felt the celestial sensations encountering the impassioned sentiments. That experience is now known as the Stendhal Syndrome. The fact that we even have a name for this collection of crazy symptoms, which can range from lightheadedness to heart palpitations, is proof enough of the universal nature of these experiences. It's our moment to reach across eras, among belief systems, and throughout worlds to eventually connect us to our own humanity. Thank you.